snake. We found him. In the Middle East. Track him down.
They've implemented a system that monitors in real time every single soldier engaged in combat action.
The country, the war economy, it ain't run by people. It's run by the system.
The group's objective is to hijack the SOP system.
Activated.
What you're trying to do, it's not a mission.
I know. It's not justice. It's a hired hit.
The system is mine! Do you see this? We are victorious! This is only the beginning, Snake.
Accelerated aging. They don't know the cause.
When all of this is over, you'll have no choice but to accept death. That is your true fate. One that even you cannot defy.
This is my fight. My destiny. This is my final mission.
The only choice left to us is death. We will have our freedom.
Our time has ended. Our war is over. How can you still be alive?
Here. Happy Canada Day, everybody. We are just getting ourselves set up for Scott, put your cell phone away. That's very rude. We're getting set up for our live chat here on, of course, Canada Day with David Hayter. He should be on anytime, but I'm glad that the four of us have time to chat a little bit before he comes on. So how you guys been? How has Canada Day been for all of you?
I slept through most of it, actually.
That sounds pretty nice to me. I went and worked at my other job, Wendy's.
That's awesome.
And I was working on art. Not terrible. It was a lot easier to go to work doing anything with a little spring in my step for today, but it would have been, infinitely better if my audio just worked. I don't know why I have to use 3 devices here.
Yeah, we took our kids down to what's it called, a lake around here, and there was a Canada Day celebration and all that. So it was.
Did you by chance take them to Kirkland Lake?
No, we took them to Larder Lake. Smartass.
Oh, I was going to say, well, the town is called Kirkland Lake, Brad.
Yes.
It was an easy assumption to make. Anybody could have made that mistake. I would have assumed when you're like, yeah, we We took the kids down to some lake. I'm like, Kirkland Lake, maybe.
I didn't think there was any lakes left in the Sudbury area. I thought they all
I'm
turned
not
to
in.
acid.
I'm not even in the Sudbury area anymore.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah, he's up north in Santa Country.
Are you even more than Narth?
Sorry,
I've noticed people from Sudbury, they reference the north all the time. And there's nothing really wrong with that. But they always say the Narth.
The Narth?
The Narth. Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones.
The North.
North.
We don't even actually like, I wouldn't even consider Sudbury the North. I consider like Timmins the North.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in Barrie, so like anything like we look at Aurelia and we're like, yeah, like the Aurelia's on the other side of the wall.
And okay, guys, so David has entered the waiting room, so we're gonna admit him in and we're gonna get this chat going. So hopefully you all enjoy.
So, kept you waiting, huh?
That I thought that was Clayton throwing his voice. I was gonna say that is the best Solid Snake I have heard.
I can't do Solid Snake.
Clayton, you do the voice also, eh?
I do. Metal.
I have to apologize. I'm on the phone only with you guys. This is not anything else. My audio is having a problem.
How are you, sir? It's nice to finally see you over Zoom instead of through emails and all that fun stuff.
I'm great. Thank you for having me, and happy Canada Day, you hosers.
Yeah.
A.
Listen, you got to use the A properly, though, eh? You can't just throw it around. You can't just throw it on the end of any sentence. It's got to indicate a question.
That's not what it's all about.
That's not what it's about.
About?
So how was the holidays up as Scott says, Narth?
It was fantastic. We went up to well, I used to when I was a little boy, we used to live up in Grand Bend on Lake Huron, and so I've been going back there every few years with my family, and I rented a lakeside mansion that was just enormous, and I invited all my cousins to come down and hang out, and we drank beers and we ate Nanaimo bars and butter tarts, and it was freaking fantastic.
I'm actually drinking a Muskoka coffee right now. I've got my beer coming.
Oh, listen.
But it's a s'mores coffee. It's actually really good.
Muskoka, you get some happy beans out of Muskoka. That's not true.
For branding reasons, I'm going to hold this up, but this is my flavor of choice.
Oh, nice.
Okay, well, I got you guys beat. I have the most Canadian of all Canadian drinks with me actually right now. I have a shooter from the CN Tower.
What?
And a bottle.
That's not all.
And a battle of Sortilege, which is
that's a battle if you do it wrong.
This is not maple syrup whiskey. This is maple syrup that has a little bit of whiskey in it. Like most like I know Wiser's makes a whiskey that has like maple accents, but this stuff you can put on your pancakes. So Happy Canada Day.
Good Lord, that is very Canadian.
And I've got the very simple Molson Canadian.
Well, Molson's? Come on.
You can taste the diabetes.
That's right.
Oh, come on.
It's almost like a Canadian mead.
You can taste the need for free healthcare, eh?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can feel my arteries crystallizing right now.
You're going to need to go to Swiss Chalet, have some of that sauce to balance it out.
Yeah, send me out.
Because it came up, I have to thank our healthcare system, actually. I had a very bad run-in a few years ago, and the fact that I still look just about the same, somebody deserves a raise.
A run-in with what? Like
about a 50-foot post.
What?
No, it was a 50-foot light post.
Geez.
I was doing 50 kilometers an hour on an e-bike. That wasn't the problem. Coming to a dead stop was.
Right. Well, no, it's always the gravity in the concrete that'll.
I was long checked out by then.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but yeah, you look relatively normal. I mean, I have no basis for comparison.
Relatively.
He's got nothing to base it on, Scott.
That's right.
Oh, I appreciate that. Even if you want to give me a rip, I'd still enjoy it. This eye, it takes some concentration to keep it on target.
Oh, wow.
But again, I'm lucky I kept it.
Yeah, lucky to have your face and still be around. That's pretty awesome.
Actually, the best part of it was when I came out of the hospital, I had the most solid snake mullet that you could imagine. And that was because they had to cut around so they could fix underneath there. But I rocked it. I made it my own. I like to think...
No. They say that was
plus one of these, and
you'd be ready
too
to
far off
fight another deer. But actually, they say that it was to get to your eye, but it's actually Canadian medical practice to give everyone a mullet.
It's part of the healing process.
Part of the healing process. Get back to your roots. Hey, listen.
When I cut it all off, I wanted to keep the rat tail
in the back and business in the front.
Yeah.
So first of all, congratulations, not even congratulations. Thank you for, as I had said in the email when I first reached out, the level of badassery, if you will, that you brought to many years as whichever iteration of Snake people grew up playing with. Like for me, it was Solid Snake, and Scott, I'm sure, was Naked Snake as the time went on. But
I think we're almost the same age, Brad.
I'm almost 40, so I don't know.
Okay, never mind.
Well, thank you for saying.
We look
Brad,
almost the same age.
I appreciate your appreciation. It's easy to be badass when you're outfitted like Snake and fighting a nuclear battle tank, and you're going to win. It lends a certain confidence.
I like the fact that, and I have to go back, I can't believe I'm talking to David Hayter. 17-year-old me would be absolutely flipping his lid right now. But I think it's awesome that in that first game on the PlayStation, it always got me that you fight a helicopter and all the people around you in the game are like, "Oh my God, you fought a helicopter?" And you're like, "Yeah, I fought a helicopter." Yeah.
It was there to fight. That's what I do. I had to swat down the troublesome fly.
That just kills me, man.
Yeah, well, I mean,
what
what
did he say? Oh, that's a hind.
A hind D?
A hind D?
Colonel, what's a Russian gunship doing here? Yeah, well, I was a 28-year-old kid when I did it, and it was pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna go take on a helicopter. And that was everything I always wanted to do. I wanted to go to Hollywood and be, Harrison Ford or be some sort of action hero or something. And things didn't exactly go that way, but I got to do Snake and a few other parts that allowed me to play in that space. So I was very grateful for the chance to do that, because I felt like that was what I was really meant to do before I got sidetracked into writing and whatnot.
I believe you are an action hero. You certainly are to me, and I'm gonna hold in as much of that as I can during the course of this. But just know that it is quite an honor.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. That's very, very kind of you. I was just a fortunate Canadian in the right place at the right time with the right voice.
It's amazing to me that you were 28 at the time of recording. I'm 29 myself, and hearing stuff like that, it makes me wonder, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good age to wonder that. I was around 27 when I thought, well, I'm coming up on 30 and I haven't done anything really, and started to panic about it a little bit. And then I really sort of buckled down. I made a movie in 97, and then got Snake in 98, and then I got X-Men in 99. So
which is just awesome.
Everything just exploded within a couple of years' time, mostly due to my fear of turning 30. So 29 is a good motivator.
It turns out ringing the bell will also do that to you.
Oh yeah. Well, sure. And then, but to ease your mind a little bit. Yeah, I had nothing when I was 27. I was broke. I was miserable. I had nothing. So things can turn around.
So for the role, like you auditioned for, did you know what it was at the time, or was it just like every other video game that it had a code name, or that, like, did you have any inklings that it was Metal Gear or anything like that?
I can't remember. I don't think it had a code name. I think they told us what it was, but I didn't know the NES games, and so I didn't have any experience with Metal Gear. But what I did see was they had put up the Yoji Shinkawa artwork in the hallways where we auditioned, and so from that I started to get an idea of, how cool it was and how elegant the artwork was, and so I felt like it was going to be something pretty cool. But no, I didn't really know anything about it. I just auditioned as another soldier part.
Did they give you any sort of idea as to what it was? Was it just a soldier, or did they, we need a nice peppy kind of guy, and you went, I've got it?
No. Oh, well, no. Actually, the story is that I auditioned with my voice, which is this voice, and which at the time was even higher. It was like, I sound like a cocky fighter pilot or something. Like that was the voice that I had, and so that's what I auditioned with. And then it gave me the script, and I was a young 28 too. I mean, I probably looked 24 or whatever, and never really grew up at all. And then I read the script, and he had already retired, and he was already a legend, and he didn't want to come back. He was bitter about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was like, this voice doesn't work for that. Like, I feel like I sound too young. I sound too fresh. And like, this guy's got to have a bunch of miles on him. And so that's where it came from. I just started putting some weight on of years and history and the voice. And I started doing it. And I think that Kojima cast me because I was the lead in a movie called Guyver Dark Hero. And I think he was just a fan of that movie, and he thought, oh, that'll be cool to have him.
The Guyver,
yeah. So the voice of Snake that you all know is not the voice I auditioned with. That's just the voice I developed from reading the script. And on the first day of recording, Chris Zimmerman, who directed all the English language versions of the games, she was like, can I play what you auditioned with? And she played it back, and I was like, I know, but I just didn't feel like that worked. What do you think of this? And she's like, no, I think it works. And I felt pretty good about it. So the rest is history.
I watched one little, I'm not sure if it was an interview exactly, but I've seen a video of you saying, just make sure your first voice is something easy to do. And it was quite paradoxically not.
Yeah. Make sure, for voice actors, make sure you can do the voice for 8 hours a day. And I can do that with Snake. I'm able to, it's sort of just a technique, and I've been doing it for so long. And besides which, the older I get, the more I just sound like him anyway.
Yeah.
But
that's pretty cool to me.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
One of the items you pick up in the game is a pack of smokes, though. So I kind of get the feeling like,
Yeah.
you would have just developed that voice over years.
Indeed. But I probably mentioned in that clip you're watching that I do the voice of King Shark on The Flash, which is, where's the Flash? And that I can do for 20 minutes before my voice is shot. And fortunately, he doesn't have a lot of monologues because his brain is the size of a walnut.
You're not much of a metal artist then, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always feel bad for people like the lead singer of Offspring or these heavy metal guys, or death metal guys, like, doing all this. It's like, you have to do that for your whole life.
Oh, yeah. Buddy. I can rip that for like an hour, and then my voice goes right thin.
Yeah. And what do you do for the next 6 days of shows? And
I'm actually a practiced. I'm a practiced deathcore screamer myself, and let me tell you, it's all about conditioning. And take something syrupy like this, that'll help you. That'll add another hour.
Give you a little more rumble to the voice. Yeah. So well, and like you say, it's technique, and you just figure out a way to do it without injuring yourself. But with King Shark, I was never able to do that.
Did you soften the Snake voice over time, or is that maybe just a perception of mine?
It's weird. I watch. No, it went through a bunch of different iterations. Also because I was playing Solid at different ages, and I was playing Big Boss and him at different ages, and so and I played Old Snake. So I tried to put something different on for each one. I kind of feel like the initial Snake voice was very subtle. It was just sort of like this, and I think over time I got more into like the rhythm of it, and especially on Metal Gear 3, because that was Big Boss when he was young, and it's like he still believes in things, and he's still fired up about the mission, and he's full of energy in a way that Solid Snake it's already been beaten out of him by the time we meet him. So I think Metal Gear 3 was sort of the most snaky of the whole thing, and then Old Snake was just the voice, but with it falling apart and his trachea falling to pieces as he ages.
Yeah.
He had too many cigarettes to pass the time.
Yeah,
that's right. So it really went through a bunch of different iterations, and then older Big Boss from Peace Walker is bitter and heavy and
a little more forceful.
Yeah. Then it probably just sounds exactly the same to everybody, but to me that's the effort I'm trying to make as
I can tell the difference. But like, if I can just go back to what year was it that Metal Gear Solid was released? That was in that was the era. Yeah, that was the era of PS1 games where we were just for the first time getting on consoles a lot of games with actual voice acting. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of people who played that game while they were growing up really remember a lot of things about it. Like, your voice is extremely iconic because, I remember like when the first time I heard you, you're like Metal Gear, and then you look and it shows the tech specs or whatever of the walker and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, this is the most important game I will ever play.
No, I think I can recognize your voice through a speaker box in a drive-thru, which brings up the last video I've seen of you is Big Smoke's order.
Yes.
Do you recall that one? Yeah.
Well, I remember doing it. I don't remember what the order was, but it was pretty fun to record it. I get a lot of requests to do a bunch of weird stuff.
Oh, I saw you turn that one meme into reality. The Colonel trying to sneak around one.
Right. Well, my friend's son, who's like 16 years old, and he was trying to make a name for himself on the TikToks, and he said, he was like, Uncle Dave, can you, would you read this meme for me? And so I said, I was like, yeah, Colonel, I'm trying to sneak around, but I'm dummy thick. And the clap of my ass cheeks keeps alerting the guards. Which I did for fun. And then it exploded and like made him famous because he was the first one to post it. And now he's a big TikToker named Griffin Moore. Or Griffin Polo, I'm not sure which name he's using. But yes, I did it for the kid, and then now I have to do it at every Comic-Con 40.
I'm afraid to ask, but is there a lot of memes? Do you get a lot of those requests?
Yeah.
Can you do my voicemail kind of things?
Well, I get that a lot, but that's, I'm happy to do that. That's fine. People want me to do things, and sometimes they're like really, filthy or whatever, and I have no argument with filth. I'm all for it, but I don't want to sort of tarnish Snake with that sort of thing. And I also try not to do things where I mention other video game. People are like, can you say, Sam Fisher sucks or something? I'm like, I can't. He's Michael Ironside. He's better than I am. So.
Yeah, it'd be so sad if you said Scott's one of his partners would be so disappointed if you said that Sam Fisher sucks. He has high hopes that I would never ask, but he has high hopes that we're going to see another Splinter Cell, and it's a daily thing on their show that it's almost become like this running
it comes
joke.
up very often.
Yeah,
it really. Well, I agree. We both cringe every time we bring it up. There's two things we want to see: Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid, and we're likely going to have to wait for a very long time.
Well, we'll see.
I'm not excited about Survivor 2 or Survival 2. I'm going to ignore that one if it comes.
Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that. I mean, I don't have any inside information, but.
So which Snake did you like voicing the most? Like, is there any one that was like a standout for you?
Well, no, I mean, any day playing Snake or doing voiceover is a good day. No, I love them. I love them all. I mean, the recording processes were different for each of them. So some of them were easier or more pleasant than others. But I mean, I guess doing the first one and really sort of finding the voice. And I remember there was a moment where I was doing it and I was like, I think this is going to catch on. Like, I think this is silly what I'm doing, but I think people are going to dig it. And so that was kind of cool to feel artistic inspiration in the middle of it. But really, no, I just love all of these games, and I loved recording all of them, equally, which is not a very satisfying answer, but it's true.
It's an answer.
I'm very curious. Do you have a favorite line? Is there one that sticks out, kind of? Even if it's just the death noise in 2 or something silly.
Well, typically not the death noises, but I do like that I never thought an endless of military technology could be so cute. I like flirting with Mei Ling and
yeah, you have rookie eyes.
Rookie. You haven't even taken the safety off, rookie.
Yeah.
I love that. That part blew my mind. I think I was like 10 years old and I was just like, that's so intense.
Yeah.
Right.
This guy's legit.
Don't think, shoot. There's a lot of lines that I really love from the thing, and I love people over the years brought back things I've forgotten about, or like there's a whole speech where I'm talking to I can't remember if it's Drebin or Sigint about I think it's Drebin where I'm talking about being comfortable in the box. I just feel more comfortable in the box.
So one of my friends, I'm just reading through some of the chats on YouTube. Ryan says that first of all, you're a legend. Old Snake is his favorite, and he had the best dialogue in Metal Gear Solid 4.
I tend to agree. Well, when you're the star, you usually get the best dialogue.
The best,
not always. But thank you, Ryan. I think you were also a legendary badass.
There you go, Ryan. You can take that on your Twitch.
Validation.
That's right. Game recognizes game.
Yeah.
I like when it takes on some of a philosophical edge to it. Of course, there's writing of just about everything across the games, but the sin, not hard to find on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Like there's just so many different little avenues they go down.
Yeah, I love that when Snake gets reflective and philosophical, and there's a lot to him, and people are always asking me like what the key is to him, and I always think it's his heart, because he's badass, and he's got this gruff voice and everything, and he can kill you, but he really genuinely cares about the people. He develops genuine relationships with the people in the games, and he genuinely wants to take care of them. And the bond he developed with Meryl and trying to save her from Sniper Wolf, was really emotionally driven. And so I love that. And I think in the end, Snake is just sort of a big softy who, tries to be tough, but he can't help jumping in to help people when they need it. And I think that's why we love him.
I think it's a testament to the writing, though, that even Sniper Wolf gets her own backstory about being Basque and the struggles that she went through when she was growing up and stuff. And it's not as simple as, she's the bad guy and you're trying to save Meryl and all that. You know what I mean? Like there's also motivations on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, totally. And that's,
that's what makes good writing, right?
Yeah, I think that's a huge element to it because the real enemy is war. And, there's just people, and you happen to be on opposite sides of the battlefield. It doesn't mean that you can't respect each other. It doesn't mean that you can't recognize each other's humanity.
Yeah.
But I don't mean to question your police work there, Iron Hobo, but I believe she was a Kurd.
A Kurd. I thought she was a Basque. Oh, no, I'm thinking of, you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of The Jackal with Bruce Willis. Have you ever seen it? Awesome movie.
I think I saw the original.
No, yeah, the one I'm thinking of is, you're right. She's a Kurd. A Kurd. Yeah, you're right.
I knew people would be typing away, Well, I do. I'm friends with Tasia Valenza, who recorded, who was the voice of Sniper Wolf, and so we see each other all the time.
But the fact that we can mix up two separate people who like are from different cultures who have suffered through that same kind of thing. You said, the real enemy is war. That's something to think on.
Yeah, I was in Spain shooting my show Warrior Nun, which I'm plugging for Netflix. And we were shooting season 2, which comes out at the end of the summer. And somebody told me a story about, my driver told me a story about the Spanish Civil War and how it was just sort of chosen by region. Mm-hmm. Any of the Americans should probably listen to this, get prepared, but I'm sorry, that's pretty dark. But Jesus, I think it's crazy.
We feel the waves, though.
Two brothers were in 2 different regions, and they got forced to join the war on opposite sides, even though neither of them really believed in the war. But if you don't go, you go to jail. And one day, one of the brothers just said, "You know what? To hell with this. I'm running. I'm going home." And so he did. He took off, went back to his childhood home, and like 3 days later, his brother showed up as well, and he was like, "Fuck that, not doing that." And then I guess they survived, didn't go to jail, and it was a very happy story. But it gives you a pretty good idea of the senselessness of war, that 2 brothers who aren't even invested in it are then asked to kill each other. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's always people in comfortable chairs making the decision for an entire generation.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's been touched on in Phantom Pain, the idea of nuclear disarmament and bringing about the true ending to the game. Although I have a hard time believing there's any true ending to any of the games, but just the idea that we all win when we disarm. And that's true.
Agreed.
I mean, it's reflected in the real world.
Agree. Well, it's the same as when you're in a bar having a beef with some dude. You're better off diffusing it and having a beer than taking a pummeling from me.
There are some that would thank you for that, as weird as that is.
That's true. I got beat up by Solid Snake.
That's true.
Especially if you gave him a one-liner at the end. Oh, that would make a dream in a weird way.
Sleep.
You're channeling your inner Schwarzenegger there.
Yeah, that's right. Come on.
Come out.
Fight, boys.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the job. Pump it harder. Go. Come on.
Oh, my favorite quote from him. Rubber baby buggy bumpers.
That's a good one.
So you've obviously been well known for Metal Gear, and I'll switch quickly and then we can jump back into Metal Gear. But one game that I'm actually playing right now, and we had Mark Meir on a little while ago, was The Long Dark, and I'm having an absolute blast with that game. And like, it's taking a long time for the episodes to come out though.
Right.
So I think it's planned for 5 episodes, and I think the 4th one is either out or it's coming. But if you guys haven't played this game, like, it's survival. I wouldn't say horror, but a survival game in the Canadian wilds.
It is the Canadian wilds, right?
It's
what I was wondering.
Mir, David, and Jane, right?
Jennifer Hale.
Jennifer Hale, yeah. And you worked with her in Metal Gear as well, so.
I did. Well, I worked with her in a lot of things. We almost smooched when we were Captain America and Black Cat in the '95 era Spider-Man, but I couldn't because of democracy. I had to keep fighting for democracy.
Damn democracy!
Well, it ain't gonna democratize itself. The Long Dark is a great game by Raphael Lerop, and it's full on Canadian. Like it's in the Canadian wilderness. It was all Canadian actors. It was really cool to be a part of that.
Ooh. Well, keeping on the idea of Canadian, I know you've had some involvement in X-Men and X2 specifically. I think maybe more so, but you would
about the same
know
on
better.
both.
But yeah, it kind of gives me the idea. The only Canadian badass that I think requires a new actor soon. Would you ever take on the role of Wolverine?
Well, listen, that would be a dream to play Wolverine. But the idea that they're going to hire a 53-year-old screenwriter to replace Hugh Jackman is unlikely at best.
Are you 53? I didn't realize that.
No, you would never know by looking at me. I'm sort of a California.
No, you look great for 53.
A fountain of youth.
Dude, I look great for anything. Fucking ridiculous.
Modest too. That's
well,
so Canadian.
They're not gonna put me in the lead in a $200 million movie, sadly. But I'd love to play it in a video game or animated show or something. I love Wolverine. Obviously, I've got a long connection with that character. So, and he was essentially playing my personality in the first two movies. So, we're pretty bonded, Wolvie and I.
Well, if you put your hair up, you might not be too far off the look.
Get ripped.
Well, you can look it up. I did the mutton chops and had the hair kind of. You can Google the image and see how I did.
So one of my co-hosts, he couldn't make it because he had a Canada Day plan which fell through. But Adam Svenny McGee asks that he had heard that the direction was originally to make Wolverine an American, and that you may have championed him into being a Canuck. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, he wasn't originally an American. He was originally written. I think Ed Solomon was the writer who did this, to be found in Alberta. I think it was along the pipeline or something. That was the original way it was. And then by the time I was working on the script, we were up in Toronto and we were getting ready to shoot. And I knew that this question would come up. And then one of the producers pulled me aside and said, "Look, can't you just change it so that he gets found in Alaska so that he's American?" And I was like, "No, you can't do that. He's Wolverine." I was like, "Listen, you do what you want, but the fans will kill you for that. They know that Wolverine is the most famous Canadian superhero, and it's just not going to fly any other way."
We don't have too many, do we?
And we got
Alpha Flight and
Alpha Flight and Captain Canuck.
Yeah, we got our fair share.
So we got
Captain
some, but as far as the marquee comic book character, the most famous of all time, there's just Wolverine, and I didn't have any power to enforce this, but I was so emphatic about it that they backed off, and so I kept.
You turned on the voice, didn't you?
Oh, no doubt. I was like, "Are you out of your freaking mind? Jesus."
I think that you could probably diffuse a lot of bar situations that way. I mean, even if you don't know Snake, the voice, it's very effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did tell a guy, I've told this story before, but I was watching Death of a Salesman with my wife, and there were these two people in front of us just making out, just macking on each other like this. And I didn't really notice, but my wife noticed, and she was getting really annoyed. And when that happens, then I get mad. And so I leaned down into this guy's ear, and I was like right here, and I just went, "Get a room," like this. and this guy just about leaped out of his chair, and then she was like, "Let's move some more," and he's like, "No, all that. So it was pretty effective in that moment. Certainly.
Solid Snake whispering in his ear, sweet nothings.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's awesome.
You didn't come to Death of a Salesman just to make out and get your ass kicked, did you? I didn't say that, but I was getting ready to say that.
Josh, do you have any questions that you wanted to ask David? Now, you've been silent because we've been just talking, and I wanted.
Yeah, Josh, what's up?
Nothing particular. I was a huge fan of The Long Dark. I've been playing through all the campaign. Jebediah was absolutely amazing. I love that whole part of the campaign.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I love that. I love that character. I got to do a little Scottish tilt to it, and it was very, very Canadian.
What was your favorite part about bringing the Watchmen to the silver screen?
Probably getting paid for all the rewrites over the years. We just kept taking it to different studios, and every studio would want a rewrite on it. And I'm like, it's finished. It's Watchmen. It is what it is. And they'd be like, no. And so we'd work out another huge deal for them to pay me again. And so I like that.
Nobody got you to do the voice for Rorschach, eh?
No. Well, we got Jackie Earle Haley, and he's
it did a phenomenal job. I don't want to say
perfect for Rorschach, but also
I'm not locked in here with you. You're all locked in here with me.
That was the reason. So that might be my favorite thing. So when I was in '97, I was producing a little movie that I raised the money for, and I starred in, called Burn. And in between scenes, I was rereading Watchmen in my dressing room, and I got to that moment. So the moment, for anybody who doesn't know, he's standing in line at the food chow line in prison, and all the prisoners want to kill him because he's a vigilante. He put most of them there, and this huge guy comes up and says, "Look, you're pretty famous. If I killed you, then I'd be famous like this." And we've been waiting for it, and Rorschach just reaches over, picks up a basket of French fry boiling oil and throws it in this guy's face and just like destroys him, essentially murders him.
And in the movie, he shrieks in the proper manner.
Yeah, as you would, and it'll kill you in the most painful way. And he falls to his knees, and Rorschach famously turns around to the rest of the cafeteria, the prison cafeteria, and says, "None of you understand. I'm not locked up in here with you. You're locked up in here with me." And so I read it, but in the book, it's only written in the psychiatrist's notes. And I was like, the whole point of making this movie is to have him say that line on camera, because that's one of the greatest lines I've ever read in my entire life. And so we did it. And so when Jackie Earle Haley said that line in the movie, Josh, I think that was probably the greatest satisfaction I got, because it was like 9 years I worked on that movie, and 10 years from the time when I said, well, probably 11 years from the time when I said, I have to make this movie, to the time that it came out. And it was all based on that line. So,
wow.
That's the story.
As a follow-up, is there any chance of a Watchmen 2? I'm not familiar with the other details, the other parties involved in the development of that movie, but I know there's a huge amount of source material they could pull from.
There is now. There's before Watchmen comic books and things like that. Well, that's up to Warner Brothers. They own it, and they're never shy about continuing to exploit material. So that
would you do like a cameo on the HBO show?
If they'd ask me,
that'd be amazing.
But they didn't ask me. But I would. I mean, sure. Yeah, I really like the HBO show a lot. I think they did some really cool, some really.
It doesn't seem like you're in the spirit of turning down a lot. So if I'm getting married next year,
pass. I don't. Yeah. Well, as far as acting work and cameos and stuff, I mean, that was my dream when I was a kid, and I don't get to do it as much as I would like now on camera acting or even voiceover. I still do it a fair amount, but really my criteria for acting roles is just, you have to ask me, and there is no second criteria. I mean, it can't be stupid or career ending, but yeah, I love doing that. However, doing officiating weddings, I've turned down so many people who want me to marry them as Snake, and I'm like, I'm not doing that.
You are a man in your own right. You're not just Snake.
Well, exactly. Well, I mean, I'm Snake to a lot of people, and if it makes them happy, then I'm happy to do that. But I'd feel kind of stupid hanging out at a wedding pretending to be Snake the whole time.
Just pop up, just hide in your box, and no one will know you're there.
Just hide in my box, or just send a box and tell them I'm there.
Do not open until after everyone has gone home.
That's right. And then open for a surprise. Surprise! I'm not here.
So this was a question that I was going to ask, but Ryan asked again. What was it like working with the likes of legendary Hideo Kojima?
I have no idea. Hideo Kojima came to visit maybe 3 times over the 9 years that I was. 12 years that I was playing Snake. So I met him, but it was Chris Zimmerman who directed all of the English language versions. You know, Kojima works on the Japanese versions of the games, and I work on the English language versions of the games. And so, we really didn't cross paths much at all. I have no idea what it's like to work with him.
Fair enough.
I mean, I know what it's like to work with his material and his writing and to be involved with one of his games, and that's an enormous honor and odyssey. I mean, there are very few, if any, game designers that are as brilliant and groundbreaking as he is. So I was very fortunate to work, in proximity to his work. But I don't know the man himself at all, really.
I feel like he constructed the vehicle for your career in some ways, but you took that vehicle and drove across the world with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I thank you. I'd like to think that I did a good job with it, but again, when somebody builds a game that's that good and that compelling, it makes your job a lot easier. Everything is set up to make Snake look amazing, and so yeah, I'd like to think that I did a good job, but all credit goes to him for creating those worlds. I mean, I'm a writer, I'm a screenwriter myself. I can never think of the things that he thought of, or come up with the game mechanics that he thought of, or create the exact world and tone that he creates. So yeah, no, he's the mastermind of that whole world, and I was happy just to be a cog in the machine.
Oh, that's fitting, isn't it? Now I'm wondering.
A Metal Gear.
You seem to be. You seem to be very open to cameos, as you said. Have you ever been approached by Seth MacFarlane, any of the kind of producers to any of these comedy shows? Would you play yourself in South Park? That kind of thing is what I'm thinking.
Oh, I would freaking love that. I'm a huge South Park fan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love South Park, man.
In a second, I just admire those guys so much, and I've watched every single thing they've ever done. I met Justin Roiland, from Rick and Morty, creator and star of Rick and Morty, co-creator and star of Rick and Morty. And I met him at a Comic-Con somewhere, and he was like, "Oh my God, Solid Snake, that's fantastic." And I was like, "Look, I think you're a genius. I'd really love to be on your show." And he actually hired me to be on his other show, Hot Streets, which I don't know if you've heard of or not, but they brought me in to play the pirate Creamy Zeus, who had he had the power of cream. He could trickle.
Creamy
so that was
Zeus.
Creamy Zeus. My cream will give you scream dreams. That was
oh my God.
So so I got to do that. I mean,
imagining
I'd love to do more of that. But again, I just sort of, I don't pursue it so much. I just wait till somebody goes, "Oh yeah, I'd love to have you do this." Like a friend of mine was having lunch with Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, who I'm just a massive fan of and created Umbrella Academy and all that. And he said something about knowing me, and apparently Gerard Way was like, "Oh my God, you know David Hayter? I'm a massive fan." And I was like, "That's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life." So Gerard, if you ever want me to appear on Umbrella Academy, I have my Canadian actor card ready to go.
He'll bring you some Canadian maple donuts with him.
Yeah, or some of that Canadian maple whiskey.
Yeah, Clayton.
I have to get the idea
so
of. I'm thinking of if you played Rick from Rick and Morty, and that voice played Snake. That's just the weird things that are swirling in my head right now.
Right. You're a piece of shit, Scott.
No, Morty, I said they're bureaucrats. I said they're bureaucrats, and I don't respect them.
Listen, nice is what stupid people do to hedge their bets.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, I would love to do all of that. That would be good. But most of the time, I'm just writing movies or TV or sitting in my office here.
So what are you working on right now?
If you can talk.
You said Warrior Nun.
Yeah, so Warrior Nun.
About it, yeah.
Yeah, there's things I can talk about, there's things I can't talk about. So we just did the season 2 of Warrior Nun. I got to live in Madrid for 6 months last year, which was freaking awesome, and produce this show and eat
perfect
tapas.
Time for a vacation, isn't it?
Oh, it was. I mean, it wasn't a vacation, but I got to live there. It was freaking amazing.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning there. It's not a vacation.
It's still Madrid, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have a driver and I got per diem and I got all this money and it's fantastic. And we're going out to these crazy locations, these beautiful castles and stuff. I mean, yeah, it was a dream job. So I'm hoping we'll get a season 3, and I'd like to go back to Spain. And what else? I sold a movie to Amazon, but we haven't quite closed the deal yet. So waiting to announce that. What else? And I'm pitching. Well, people know this. I'm pitching an adaptation of American McGee's Alice games.
Oh, cool.
So live action adaptation of those games, which would ideally shoot in London, and I'd love to live in London for 6 months and then Spain for 6 months and just sort of make shows and travel the world. So we're taking that out to all the streamers and the networks right now, and I'm feeling pretty good about it because it's a badass property.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah. I like that. That's cool. I'm glad you're handling that.
Yeah, thank you. And then I got a bunch of other things that are still secret or in development coming along.
Well, you are quite the creator. Do you think you're ever going to stop?
Not unless they stop me. If they stop hiring me, I suppose. But no, people talk about retirement, but I don't know what I would retire from. I love what I do, and
if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, kind of thing.
Exactly. So I mean, not that it's always easy. I mean, it can be very stressful and a huge amount of work, or you're shooting nights for 50 days in a row or whatever. But it's the circus life. Like, why would you want anything else? And for me anyway, that's how it should be. So and plus, my wife and I get to travel the world making shows. We shot my movie Wolves up in Toronto and moved into Rosedale to a townhouse for 8 months, shot X-Men in Toronto. So we got to live there again. And, it's just awesome. During Watchmen, I lived in London for 6 months, and it's a pretty sweet life, I have to say.
Actually, yeah, just talking about this makes me want to go back and watch that movie again. I haven't watched it in quite a while. Yeah, Watchmen, yeah. And X-Men too. I actually read the X-Men novel adaptation before I watched the movie, which is like strange. I was on a bus or something somewhere.
Well, and I read. I'm pretty sure it's from. I know this is true of the first X-Men novelization, but I think the second one too. That they're from earlier drafts of the script. So
I remember thinking that there were things that were different after I saw the movie.
Yeah, totally. So we keep rewriting the script again and again and again, and so the adaptation gets a certain draft, and then in the end, it's not quite the same as the movie. So so it's always interesting for me. Also, I was playing an X-Men video game. I picked up some retro X-Men video game that was clearly set after X-Men 2, but before X-Men 3 came out. So it was like all these references to X-Men 2 and sort of a continuation of the story. And it was really, really cool.
They continued the story that you did the screenplay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Neat, exactly. Yeah. And there were elements that were fleshed out that we had created that never got seen in the movies, So
somebody else took your ideas and ran with them and took them to their took them to their conclusion or their
just said, well, what would happen next, and as opposed to
be,
the people that made X-Men 3 who clearly didn't think that at all.
That's got to be kind of neat though, to see your work and then see what somebody else would do with it given the chance, taking it to the, like you said, taking it to the next step, or maybe seeing story arcs or conclusions that you hadn't initially come up with.
Yeah, it is cool. Well, and I really got that sense from Logan. Actually, there's some claws from Logan up there.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I really felt that way with Logan. I felt like they really that James Mangold and the screenwriters really were trying to bring back the feeling of our first two movies and sort of cap those stories. And I talked to James Mangold about it a bit, and he, very kindly said that I was correct. I don't know if that's true or not, but or if he was just being nice. But I really felt that way, and I felt like it was such a beautiful ending to Hugh's run as Wolverine, and such a great nod to what we started with, and so I thought that was really, really cool to see a truly great movie come out of the seeds that you planted in some other movies. It's a really cool thing.
I have to say actually that Sabretooth in the original, I loved Sabretooth in the original. I thought he was awesome, and I don't hate Liv Schreiber, and I'm not trying to be that guy, but Liv Schreiber as Sabretooth was not my Sabretooth. Hashtag not my Sabretooth. I was a far larger fan of the original iteration of Sabretooth that you came up with for the big screen.
Well, I saw Tyler Mane not too long ago in Vancouver, and I will tell him that you said that, because I tend to agree.
I can understand why they would change it, because they wanted somebody with depth, if it's going to be the opposite of leading man type of thing. Yeah. But the savagery of that character is just, that's what it's all about, and I felt like it really kind of got toned down. So actually, incidentally, when I ran into Liv Schreiber in the Wolverine video game, Origins or whatever it was called there. Oh man, I pinned him down and I just put it to it. Yeah, exactly. Not my Sabretooth. You can't do this to me. Ah!
Right. Listen, Sabretooth, it's you and me down by the bike racks. No buddies.
Yeah, exactly. 3 o'clock at the bike racks.
Right. Meet you out by the smoking area.
Yeah.
Well, the reason for that is I didn't know who Sabretooth was. He came after my experiences with the X-Men comics. So the X-Men comics that I knew were all from the early 80s, the Chris Claremont ones. And that's what I was adapting. So Sabretooth, I'd seen him in the comics, but by my mid-20s, I was too broke to be buying comic books. And so I sort of fell out of touch with the whole thing. And I didn't know he was supposed to be Wolverine's brother. They had built up this, I saw
the whole story. Yeah.
I saw the beginnings of him when he was just sort of a bruiser, monster guy. So that's how I knew him. And so that's how I wrote him. And I agree with you. The whole point is that he's ferocity in a way that Wolverine would be if Wolverine didn't have his humanity, and
exactly.
That was the balance of it. And so, but I also heard from a lot of people online, don't you know that he's his brother, and don't you know this and that? And I was like, nah, I don't know any of that.
But even still, just like you said, the savagery and the counteractive action, the counterforce, what I mean? Like he's
the balance to Wolverine.
The balance to Wolverine. Yeah, exactly.
The thing about a superhero movie is you always need to have an antagonist who is your equal or better in terms of your theme. That's why you always, in a Hulk movie, you always get some giant creature that's opposite him, or in Superman, you've got to have somebody who's, that's why Superman's so hard, because you need somebody who's equally powerful to go up against him.
Yeah.
Goku.
In a way, it almost makes it better though, because it's kind of nice that in the movie that you didn't know that when you wrote it, because then you didn't feel the need to illustrate that and like hold the audience's hand all the way through, saying, "Oh, look, they have this history," and
right.
You know what I mean? Like fans of the IP can kind of flesh that out. You know what I mean? Without having it kind of spoon fed to them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a problem with it. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is awesome."
Yeah, and I think it evolved. You know, it was fine the way they evolved it in the Wolverine
organically.
Movies. They're like, oh no, he, you know, yes, they're brothers, but Wolverine had amnesia and whatever. I mean, I don't know if it entirely makes sense, but but they're comic book movies. It's just like comic books themselves. They evolve and they change, and things that are canon.
They retcon things all the time. Yeah, exactly. Constantly.
Retcon is the word. I was like, yes.
I'm hoping they retcon Cyclops into something interesting of its own string of movies. Just on the topic of X-Men, still.
Well, I agree. So
when I was a kid, everything was Cyclops. And then
me too.
I became a teen, and it was Wolverine, which I'm not opposed to. But
I always loved Wolverine. But when we played X-Men when I was 12, I was always Cyclops, and I always, you know, had great affection for him, and that's why in my movies he does stuff, and in, you know, when I'm not writing the movie, he normally just gets killed or ignored or, you know, insulted. And so, but I'm like, without Cyclops leading the group, like the by the book, stick in the mud guy, how do you have Wolverine to play off of him?
Yeah.
You know?
Plus their relationship.
Liked Cyclops. I really always liked Cyclops more, but then as I mentioned at the beginning of this, I hit that post and discovered that I'm Wolverine. But funny enough, I'm also Cyclops.
You've got elements of them all, my friend.
If you can't laugh at yourself, you have no business laughing.
I agree.
It sort of makes it interesting, though, that Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean Grey have that whole love triangle thing going on there, because Wolverine's like, you know, the bad boy, the rogue, the constantly mentally tormented, you know, outsider. And Scott is the, you know, like you said, by the book, the de facto leader.
Yeah.
And then Jean Grey is
the guy who's got it all together. And
and then Jean Grey is like the torn, you know, in between.
Well, Jean Grey is literally, and as we know as X-Men fans, she's literally split down the middle. She's half, you know, this very committed student, hero, teacher. You know, she's good at her job. She's smart. She's on top of everything. But inside her, she's got the Phoenix, which is just raw power and
she's potential
destruction. She's like the perfect balance between Scott and Wolverine, and that's why, even though she's with Scott, she's still pulled towards Wolverine, and it's why Wolverine can't pull away from her entirely. Yeah. So it's really, you know, it's brilliant the way that it's set up in the comic books, and you know, it's the same thing between Xavier and Magneto, who are really two sides of the same coin. You know, they're I mean, the way we went about it, they're, you know, not to be blasphemous, but they're Malcolm X and
Martin Luther
MLK
King
and Martin Luther King, you know, who's saying, you know, Xavier's saying, yes,
peace,
and the humans are troublesome and they're angry and they're problematic, but the ultimate goal has to be peace. And you know, and Magneto's saying, well, they're trying to kill us, and we have to defend ourselves. We have to do what we have to do.
So, that's a great observation. That's really apt.
Well, that's how we came about it, because we also wanted Magneto to be a villain that you could understand. You know, like and a villain that Wolverine is kind of more on Magneto's side than the other side. If you mess with his people, he'll kill you. Yeah, and you know, it's very hard to go Charles's way. It's the Star Wars conundrum. You know, the dark side is easier, quicker, more satisfying. You know, the light side is harder. It takes hard.
It takes discipline, and it takes it requires that not only you control yourself, but that you convince other people that this is the path. Whereas it's very easy to appeal to the base motivations of someone who is in a bad situation. You could say, well, look, we can just take that. We can just have that, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
They've taken from us, you know, eye for an eye.
We take right back. And
exactly.
Everybody identifies with that. So and all of that was layered into the comic books that I read. So, you know, it was but that's what got me the job, really, because I understood the characters on those levels, and a lot of people hadn't read the comic books, so they didn't really know. And I was
even if you haven't read the comic books, though, you can understand the themes, you can understand the motivations and where they're coming from. So when you're actually watching it on the screen and it's unfolding, if you don't already know the characters, you can easily, pick a side or learn about them as you go. So it's a testament to good writing, really. So,
thank you.
So just to shift the focus here, Josh is a phenomenal artist. Josh has actually been a vendor at the expo that we run in Sudbury. He's been with us actually for technically 8 years, but we had to cancel one of the years, so 7, I guess. I actually asked Josh to, I don't know if he can bring it up or not, but I asked him to do something for you. So he graciously agreed to do it and showed it to me, and I thought it was phenomenal. So I'll let Josh take over just to show what he's created.
Super cool.
Let me pull it up here. Basically, I had done a kind of portrait-esque photo of you as Snake.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love it.
Kind of adapted your face into him, kind of brought out the classic haircut and the old uniform.
Right. Well, you'll have to send that to me. That's awesome.
Definitely. I'll link it to you on Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff.
Perfect.
I like that. That's much better than the song I wrote for you, David. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I did a picture too from what I remember of the PS1 era.
Oh yeah. Well,
hey, you got
pretty accurate.
You got some of the bits there.
He's got more facial detail than he did.
I remember actually watching it when I played the original game, and there's no motion on the face, and all you see is just the head kind of.
There's no face
bobbing around while it's.
But you know why? It's because Metal Gear Solid was the very first game where your character walks straight into the movie, the cinematics. So what games were at the time was the movable character would be just sort of this simple face, and then there'd be these really detailed CG scenes that you go into. And Kojima was like, no, when we go into the cinematics, we step seamlessly from the game into the thing. And so that's why they could have given him more of a face, but they couldn't go seamlessly from gameplay to cinematics. And so that's why he didn't have any face.
It's actually awesome. It's still I still remember that, I still remember the fact that the character models, the camera was always static, basically from the top down view, but that the camera could be anywhere. It was okay, well, because Sony was pushing really hard to have fully 3D realized environments and whatnot. They didn't want any 2D stuff. They wanted 3D because they wanted to push the power of the PlayStation. So it was interesting that they had most of Metal Gear from the top down perspective, but then all they had to do was move the camera and you would see the characters from those different angles. Yeah. But it was still kind of funny seeing these little marionette dolls delivering this super serious dialogue.
It's true.
And the voice acting on everybody's part was really amazing. And the script was really good.
The script was deep. We were all committed and the camera angles were amazing. But it was just these sort of simple people.
It was like a movie where you were just squinting the whole time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh man, talking about Metal Gear Solid, it occurs to me I've never actually played the original Metal Gear Solid. I've only played Twin Snakes. And do you have any preference, any feelings or thoughts at all about the difference between the two?
I didn't, but then I heard.
One must have been 10 years later.
No, it wasn't 10 years. I think it was 2 or 3 years. Maybe it was around when we were doing Metal Gear 2. No, I didn't have any preference, but then I heard recently, last year, that there's some big controversy among gamers that Twin Snakes sucks and the original game is better.
I've heard that myself, but I don't really agree.
Yeah, I'm not sure that because we were all, I mean, for me at least, I was trying to redo exactly what we'd done the first time around, and maybe I failed at that, or maybe I went too far, or whatever. But we were really just making an effort to recreate that original game as closely as we could for the Nintendo system. But you know, for the people out there that feel that Twin Snakes is not up to the same quality, well, you know, bite me. No, I apologize.
Hey.
And I apologize for saying bite me right then. That was really out of line.
That was very un-Canadian. You should apologize.
Well, you know, listen, I've been in America a long time. What's that? Say again.
You can go kick rocks.
That's right. I don't know what you're saying. I didn't really understand, but I nodded seriously.
It's the lingo of the youth,
right?
Yeah, were you relieved, or were you just as angry as everyone else was with the bait and switch about Metal Gear Solid 2? Being that it switches over to ride and surprise.
I was the first one to get angry. I was in the booth, and they didn't tell me. We recorded the big shell or the tanker incident, and we did it in order. And then we were doing the big shell, and suddenly Quentin Flynn was telling the player what buttons to press, or whatever. And I'm like, hey, you know, that's my job. And they're like, oh no. And in this part of the game, you know, people are going to play as Raiden, and Snake's just going to be his mentor. And I was like, I don't think people are going to like that so much.
Everybody was angry. I think I was like 10 years old, and I was much blonder back then, so I was okay with that. But I wonder, as an adult, what would have been if you had flipped. Raiden does the tanker, and you were the protagonist for the main part of the game. But, well, then every enemy would have met their expiration, I imagine. Vamp and the like. Still not sure I understand why there's vampires in Metal Gear Solid 2, but there's a lot of mystery.
It is not for us to. It is not for us to know. It's the world we step into, and sometimes a guy can throw bees at you, and
yeah,
you never know what's going to happen.
Sometimes another guy can't read your mind, and only if you switch the controller to the second port.
To the second port, yeah.
I see that you like Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
I see that you play Castlevania.
Exactly. So I wasn't overly impressed with that, but I was like, I think people are going to get pissed, and I bet you in the next game Snake's going to be the lead player, and I was right.
Mm-hmm. I was really disappointed actually with that, especially because the gameplay mechanics have been tightened up so much between the first one and the second one. I was like really into it. I was like, cool, you know, like the graphics are so much better, and like I've been waiting for this. We're moving this thing ahead, you know. It was awesome. You're on the stormy tanker and everything. A Verrazano checkpoint passed, and then it's like, I'm playing Raiden. Oh, okay. So how long is this going to go on for? You know, and then the conclusion to the game was pretty satisfying, and then the whole Lali Lule Lo thing at the very end. You know, the whole, you knew that it wasn't going to be the end of the saga and all that. You know that Snake's going to come back. But still, a good chunk of the game was kind of, it feels to me like a good chunk of that game was running around oil rig pillars, and
yes, there was quite a bit.
Yeah, and that's really what I remember about it. I remember the ship at the beginning, and then I remember that, and then I remember the Metal Gear Ray, and that's really all I took from that one, actually. And the fact that your character, Snake, was named Pliskin, which I thought was just a little bit of cinematic genius there. I thought that was great.
It was a nice nod. Well, I was working on a project with John Carpenter, and I talked to him about it, and he said, oh yeah, the Kojima reached out to me before the thing and said what he wanted to do, and I was like, that's fine, go ahead. And you know, because Snake was clearly taken from Snake Plissken, and so that was a nice nod to John's willingness to.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool
with his
little
character.
It was a cool little thing.
It was.
Yeah. But it's, you know what though? It's been how many years since PlayStation 2, and I still remember that, you know? That's a testament to to how much those original games impacted some people. You know, like I remember the ship, and I remember the fact that it was Raiden and not you, which was a disappointment to me.
Well, and then Raiden going into the bowels of the ship and the Colonel going crazy, and I mean the whole ending of that game is insane.
It just got out of control with the what was it that they referred to it as, the saturation of information or something like that, where they were something like that, and then there was, like I said, there was Metal Gear Ray, and then I think who was it, Liquid Snake made the appearance at the end.
No, it's Solidus Snake at the end.
Solidus, that's right. Yeah.
The third brother.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Was that the other component in the fist fight on top of a Metal Gear, or was that Liquid?
Well, the fight with Liquid was on the top of a Metal Gear in 4, but I think it was on top of a building, and Solidus came along and he had like Dr. Octopus arms and.
Oh yeah.
Solidus.
Why are we
had
in
the
Los
arms.
Angeles? I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah.
But I also think that when you're a kid, things burn themselves into your brain.
Yeah.
More than you get older, you get a little more cynical or whatever, and things, you don't, like the Avengers movies don't affect me the way Indiana Jones did when I was a kid, for example.
Yeah,
I can still recognize the Avengers movies are amazing and they're huge, whatever, but they don't rock my soul the way the first Star Wars movies did, or that sort of thing. I think your young brain is experiencing things for the first time, and you just imprint on the things that you love. But
that's the thing, though. Like for a generation of people, Metal Gear Solid was, I don't play kid games. I play Metal Gear Solid. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm a grown up now.
Right.
We're talking about games, like nuclear de-armament and stuff.
Yeah. Those games treat you like a grown up to a certain extent. And
I was 10 years old switching between Ocarina of Time, where I really loved Link, and then Metal Gear, where I liked Raiden at the time. I did, but the two blondes,
right?
that I've likened myself.
Oh, you could see yourself in them. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, and I was the right age for that. I was very impressionable, so that's the thing. And if I ever get the opportunity to, either reach for the SOCOM or the dart gun, I'm going to use the dart gun, because one day you might find yourself on the long river, and it might get longer and longer and longer.
So that's my question. If you use the dart gun the whole time and you're on the river, does nobody show up? Like if you haven't killed anybody?
I believe it ends right then and there. I'm not 1,000% sure on that, but I think that might be the true ending, so to speak.
Oh, that's cool.
Interesting.
That's from Metal Gear 3 for anybody who's not familiar. But if you're not familiar, what are you watching this for anyway?
For anybody who's not 40.
I have a question. Do you have a favorite Metal Gear?
I think Snake Eater is my favorite. I mean, that's my typical answer. I love them all, and I really love the first one, and I really love the fourth one, and I enjoy the second one. The second one, I went off the rails a little bit, but I do love them all. But Snake Eater, I love the fact that we went back in time. I love the fact that it's all retro technology. I love the fact that Snake is Big Boss before he becomes Big Boss. Like, I mean, it's the purest.
Yeah.
It's the closest version to me as a person. Like he's on fire to do this, believes in the mission, believes in the boss, and all this stuff, and just gets the royal bejesus beaten out of him physically and spiritually, and the final fight with the boss is just one of the most gorgeous, tragic, emotionally heart-wrenching scenes in all the video games, I think. So I think that one it came together in the fullest, most perfect way, to my mind.
Now, do you have a favorite other character? We talked the boss and Raiden, of course. I would suspect he's not your favorite, but Is there?
Raiden?
Is there
No. I love
favorite?
Raiden. I love Raiden. It's all mixed up with my feelings for the voice actors as well. I mean, I love all these people, and I love Sniper Wolf.
Oh, I don't mean to diminish their work at all. Their work is phenomenal as well.
Yeah, no, but I really, I look at it like a family. I look at it like an acting troupe. It's like these characters come back over years, and just all of them. It's hard to pick. I mean, I think Otacon is certainly up there as one of my favorites, just because me and Christopher Randolph have so much fun playing those roles, and it's just such an iconic duo.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a lot of fun with that. But no, I love Raiden. I love Major Tom or Major Zero.
Hearing you say
Major Tom.
Hearing you say Otacon. Hearing your voice say Otacon, it reminds me of Metal Gear Awesome. Another thing I'm sure you've been quoted at lots.
Oh my God, hotness! I want to bang you. That's from Metal Gear Awesome. It's not just a personal comment to Scott. But, I love Metal Gear Awesome. And Crab Battle, and all those things.
Now, I have to ask, because it has been written about, at least, that you do play most of the games, or if not all the games that you've been in, which I think is really cool, if that is correct.
It's true.
Now, do you play other games, though? Or is it kind of...
No, I only play games that I'm in. Because I'm a, what do you call it, a dick. I play plenty of other games. I've just done 170 hours on Elden Ring, and
I just finished it for the second time.
I'm gearing up to. I was exploring every element and sort of really leveling up to a ridiculous amount, but I'm about to finish it.
Nice.
And Grand Theft Auto 5? I mean, all the Grand Theft Auto games.
All the Grand Theft Auto games, or all the Grand Theft Auto 5 games?
No, all the Grand Theft Auto games. Only I don't play online. I don't like other people, and so I feel like playing video games with other people is like getting attacked by a mountain of ants. Just the single player Grand Theft Auto 5. But I was at a Comic-Con in London, and I was hanging out with all three of the leads from Grand Theft Auto 5, and it was so awesome.
That's
it
was
cool. It's like when people hang out with me and they're like, "Oh, I had dinner with Solid Snake." It's like, well, not really, but I was like, "Oh my God, it's it's all those guys." It was really fun.
Right.
Who are still relevant, because that game's been released like 5 times now.
Well, they were like, oh, it's coming to an end. The game's been out for like 2 years. People are going to forget who we are. And I was like, dude.
Yeah, no.
This game is going to be playing out for, you'll get 20 years of Comic-Cons off.
Yeah, my kids are going to be talking about that game. And
plus, I mean, like Metal Gear, it was one of the best written video games I've ever seen in my entire life. The movie of it was just like, it was like living a 60-hour movie with these characters. And, it's had true impact. It deserves, like a great album or a great movie, it deserves to last and
to breathe.
Like Red Dead Redemption, it's just such an amazing thing. Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, these games are so incredible. People should, and this is what I do. Instead of just buying whatever the latest game, because I hate paying $60 for a game and then it sucks. So, I play the classic games, and when a new game comes out, it's only when the people I really respect go, "Oh, this one is amazing," that I'll pick it up. So yeah, I think people should play more retro games, but of course that plays right into my self-interest. So take that with a grain of salt.
Have you played Yakuza very much? I know that you have to appear in.
I'm in Yakuza.
I haven't played that game myself, though.
I mean, I haven't. I've played them, but not hugely extensively. But I have played them. But the coolest thing about it is Yakuza 0. So I went to high school in Japan, in Kobe. And then after I graduated high school, I moved to Osaka, and I worked in Osaka for about a year and a half. And I mean, it's embarrassing, but I was a model, and we used to go to, there's a dance club called Maharaja, which is just this gold-plated, crazy 80s era dance club, and all the models would get in free, and you get like free food and stuff. So we'd all go there, and we'd get, you know, sushi rolls and drinks and just get hammered, and the management loved it. And in Yakuza 0, you're in 1989 Osaka, and the first thing you do is you walk down a street, go around a corner, and there's Maharaja.
Cool.
And it's just blew my mind because I've been there so many times, and it was like stepping back into the past. It was really, really cool. So
that's cool.
I mean, it was just, you know, just for people of a certain era who lived in Osaka, but it was pretty damn accurate. So,
well, in that line of thinking, I would get goosebumps, but I hope we never see a Metal Gear in our crazy world.
In real life? Or real life?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that would be.
I kind of expect one to stand up out of Area 51 one day, but.
Right. And I would feel a lot of pressure to have to do something about it. So I'm hoping that everybody online's like, why isn't David doing anything about it? And it's like, well, 'cause I'm not really that. But no, that would be a concern. Well, people send me every time Raytheon makes a new mechanical robot dog or whatever, they send it to me and ask me to kill it. Or like the pizza delivery bot that in Atlanta, I think, that delivers pizzas to students. They're like, go kill this. And I'm like, I think Domino's.
But no, this one's on our side.
this one's delivering pizzas. And then I would give a 35-minute lecture on the origin of pizza.
So Ryan asks again, well, not again, but is there a video game character that you would like to do a voiceover on?
Well, I always wanted to play Batman, but of course I don't want to step on Kevin Conroy's toes. I think he's the ultimate Batman. But I love Batman. I'd love to do it. I always loved Daredevil. I'd love to play a Daredevil game or be the lead in a Daredevil game. There's all kinds of things I'd love to do. Badass character, Wolverine. Again, I'd love to play Wolverine in the new game. If anybody's,
I would certainly enjoy you as Master Chief. I gotta say, if you could give one line, I need a weapon.
I think you need a weapon. I have to. The real problem with being me is you have to try to come up with a voice that's not Snake, that's still badass, but doesn't like when I play. So I'm the light side Jedi character voice in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and so their instruction to me was, you have to sound like a Jedi, have that Zen thing, and no gravel. So the whole time I'm trying to, do this Jedi voice and not sound like Snake, but I just get older and older, and I'm like, put up your damn lightsaber, that sort of thing. It all falls apart because I wouldn't want to just do Snake for Master Chief, Anyway, I don't think they're looking for a new Master Chief. He's pretty squared away, I think.
No, I don't believe so. Unless the opportunity comes up for season 2 of the TV show, but
sure.
I think I'd rather see you on the writing of that, but I won't touch the topic further.
Well, I'll understood. All right, guys. Any other thoughts or feelings or overriding emotions?
No, I don't know about Clayton or
90 minutes of pure joy.
Yeah, it was a blast. Absolute blast.
It was totally great to talk to you, and I just from me anyways, and I'm sure all of us, I want to thank you for taking the time to come and talk to us. It's been
my
amazing.
Pleasure. It was my pleasure. Thank you for reaching out, and thank you, Josh, for your drawing, and
Josh,
all of you for your excellent questions. I'm sure he's still there somewhere.
So just before we do let you go, does Snake have anything he'd like to say to the Nerdcast? I know you've been doing it a lot, but like a personalized cameo.
I'll just say this, Nerdcast. always stay true to yourselves. Remember, a strong nerd doesn't need to read the future. They make their own. So keep on nerding. And always remember this. Nerdcast? Huh. You're pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm quitting my job tomorrow.
We lost Josh altogether.
I got goosebumps.
Oh, we lost him.
He's gone.
That amount of gravel gives me goosebumps, I have to say.
Yeah. You know what I will say?
Gives me vocal polyps.
And I've been waiting to say this the entire time.
Yes.
Later, hater.
See what you did?
Come on, somebody must have done that to you before.
Just since I was growing up, everybody I ever met.
That's true. Okay.
Josh actually Josh just sent me a message that his phone died. So like I just told him that you were thanking him as his phone died. So. But
understood.
We'll let you go. I really appreciate you for coming on and making this work. I know you were on holidays and you've been really busy with your projects. So again, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us.
It was my pleasure, gentlemen. It was great fun. I wish you love and stealth and success, and let's do it again sometime.
Look forward to it.
Absolute honor, sir.
Oh, and am I coming to Sudbury? Did we talk about that? I don't know.
I have some plans. I've been chatting with not recently, but with the celebrity booking, the head honcho there, and we've got some plans for a rebrand. I'll say it here now. A rebrand of our show for next year. We're looking to do some things, and we'd definitely like to have you involved somehow. We're just trying to figure out how to make it work and worth your while to come to Sudbury, but we would absolutely love to have you come.
I would love to be back in Sudbury and see all the people. So
awesome.
See what you can do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, David, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and happy
Canada Day.
But yeah, happy Canada Day. Cheers.
Happy Canada Day to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. And to you too, gentlemen. All right. See you soon.
Take care. Well, there you have it, guys. David Hayter, Solid Snake, The Long Dark, X-Men, and the Watchmen.
X-Men, X2, Watchmen. Yeah.
Not X-Men 3.
Not X-Men 3.
Oddworld, Eternal Darkness. He's even in Smash Brothers.
Some guy named Cream.
I'll make it creamy, dreamy. Oh, the pirate. What the fuck was that?
Captain Cream.
Captain Cream,
something like that. That's awesome.
I gotta look that up.
Dream.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if I was supposed to say anything, about that. But like, if we could make that work with where we can bring David to do something for our next show, I think that would be incredible. So. I like how he dropped Sudbury, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. We did talk about this."
Yeah, he knows about Sudbury.
Well, he's
hit you with a little bit of that Morty, where you feel a little bit like Morty. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, Rick.
Yes, sir. You can come anytime. It's going to be a while before this smile wears off. I'm going to say
it's pretty cool.
That was a real great chat, and I'm Adam. If you're still watching. Adam messaged me in like the 14th hour saying that his plans fell through, but he knew that we already had a full show. Well, he's coming. So the next chat we're doing is next Saturday. Drew, Adam, and I are going to be sitting down with the Hitman cast. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. So we're going to be having David Bateson, Jane Perry, Philip Roche, and John Hopkins coming on to talk about their Hitman experience, and really cool. That one won't be live. Awesome. That will be pre-recorded. They only have so much time. David and Jane have a Streamily signing thing, and just the fact that I was able to get 3 different time zones to work was really a tough thing to do. So I'm really looking forward. That chat.
You've
What's that?
You measure up these 3-pointers, man, and you keep sinking them. I have to say, you're doing something right.
I try, man, and like I've told this to Nate, I've told this to Drew, and like I don't really think that I would have done anything if you guys hadn't started doing this and like when he had actually started chatting with David and Jane on your show, Inside the Game. I'll get you to plug that after, but I was like thinking to myself, I actually, as soon as that show was done, I sent David a message, and right away he responded. He's like, yeah, let's set it up. And David was our first guest, and we had a blast, and he's still convinced that Clayton was actually driving in front of us, so he wasn't.
No, I got out of the truck and helped somebody with booster cables. I wasn't driving. Don't you remember that?
Driving.
Yeah.
But
he's like, oh yeah, you can't be driving while you're doing an interview. No, man, seriously. And then somebody knocked on my window and they needed booster cables. So being the good Canadian I am, I get out and I'm looking through the back of my truck in the parking lot while I'm interviewing David Bateson, looking for booster cables. It was pretty awesome.
Things that are truly great don't always go to plan, but you make it work.
That's what makes them great. Yeah, you just roll with.
Now, I am very honored to be here with you guys today, and I can't let that go without saying. But I know Drew was quite disappointed he couldn't make it.
So was Nate. Well, Nate really wanted to be on, and I'm like, I got a full show. And I'm asking Scott first because I know how much of a David Hayter fan Scott is. And it worked out, but at the same time it didn't for Adam, because unfortunately he had plans and they fell through. And I told Drew, I said, I'm gonna ask you Drew first because Drew's the boss. And then I said if he can't, then I was gonna ask you. And then Nate's like, hey, can I jump on that chat? I'm like, no.
You know how I would have put it internally on the show. Sorry, we've already got our bald guy. 2 in 1 chat room. You know, the lighting's going to be off.
The lighting will be off.
We like to give him a little push. He's of course good with it, and I assume you are too. I certainly hope so.
Oh yeah, I know it's. I've accepted my baldness. So, but I think
that's step 1 to making it work.
I think the chats have all been great. Like it's, and it's all it is really is just people are like, well, how do you get all these people on? Well, just reach out.
Just
to
keep
them
on asking. Yeah.
Like not to the point where you want to seem like a stalker. Like I would love, like you guys have seen my tweets. Like I would love to have the Red Dead cast on, or like one-on-ones with them. They're so busy. Like again, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Another guest I'd love to have on is DC Douglas Wesker from Resident Evil. I'd love to chat with him.
We've had some seriously great, like you've gotten some seriously great voice actors on here though.
Well, we also had Paul Sun-Hyung Lee, who from Kim's Convenience, and and then Jason Kelly, who Drew interviewed, which I'm still waiting for that friggin' show. I know he said he's been editing it, but I really enjoyed chatting. I've enjoyed chatting with all of them. But Jason as Colt was a really, really good role. Obviously, he was nominated for Best Voice Actor at the BAFTAs for video games. So, but yeah, no, I've had a lot of fun and looking forward to whatever else is coming. Like I can't say anything because after the Hitman one, I've got to start sending more messages to see if we can get some more people on the show. I know I think one of Clayton's favorites was the one last weekend with Anthony Howell. That was a lot of fun.
That was so good, man.
Even though we only had the one computer, I forgot my charger. It was it was not.
That was so good though.
He
was so cool. Like, and the fact that we got to talk about plants.
You've had a great lineup, and I want to speak to Stephen Blum if you ever have the chance,
I have reached out. I have reached out. I've reached out to him. I've reached out to Sean Schemmel. I would love to have Goku on the show. Like, I've reached out. I've reached out to Christopher Sabat, who played Vegeta. It's just a matter of, like I said, not seeming like a complete stalker, but like.
Well, no, it's just like Alec Baldwin always said, you miss every shot you don't take, and sometimes you just got to take that shot, and that's how it gets done. I asked Drew the same thing. How do you get all these connections? How did you make this work? At one point, it was just a dream, and he basically gave me the same answer. Well, you just have to shoot. Some of them land, some of them miss.
Yeah.
But you'll never know if you don't try. And that's really that's true of everything.
John St. John was
John St. John.
Duke Nukem. Yeah. So you know what? Let's we'll end the live stream, and then because we're still streaming, we'll end the live stream and we'll just continue this off camera. But thank you everybody for watching. I'm going to end the live stream now. So Scott, if you want to plug your show, by all means, go for it.
Oh, absolutely. Myself and Drew, we both handle Inside the Game Daily Show. We're live every day on Twitch and YouTube at 11 o'clock, and we cover news, kind of the goings-on, some rumors sometimes, but we try and stay away from that. And that's just a good update for what's going on in the industry. Other than that, we run Inside the Game, the review show. And that's a weekly episode. We put together a lot of video game reviews, and I think we're on week number 600, something like that. It's been going nice and strong, but we're always looking to reach out, any sort of audience engagement. If you want to hit us up on Twitter, that kind of thing. Drew is Artistic Gamer 28 on Twitter, and I am Savage, and I will never do my own intro as good as Drew does.
Oh, Drew does the best intro. And Clayton, where can everybody find you?
_iron
not
_
Discord.
hobo. No, not Discord. No. On Instagram is pretty much the only place that you can find me now. I'm not really doing too much on YouTube anymore. It's just basically art that I put up, which I'm kind of tempted to put up my David Hayter PS1 solid snake piece.
I think you got the approval.
But that's my online presence now. I'm just concentrating on my art, so that's where you can find me.
Oh, hey, don't be shy about your art. My art is extremely loud, violent music. So if one of us can be embarrassed, just leave it to me.
Anyways,
I love loud, violent music. By the way, the louder and more violent, the better.
I do everything from 2000s emo to modern day deathcore, so it gets pretty extreme.
Nice.
All right, well, we will end the stream there.
I have to sharpen this.
We will pick up on the Hitman Roundtable chat next Saturday. Take care, everybody.